Reminded me of years ago, a friend of mine, Clarence, he built an off-grid place up on the headwaters of the Illinois River back in '70, and his house was amazing. He had a Pelton wheel with a line shaft that had belts that went to all his saws, his planers, table saws, drill press. He had an indoor atrium where he took the fruit trees and planted them outside the building and trained the tree trunks to come through a hole in the wall into a trellis that was hanging up in a greenhouse. Up in the mountains, literally the headwaters of the Illinois River ran through his property, and we built a house there for him. You could jump off his front deck right into a giant trout pond. He had 2 trout ponds, massive trout. Oh yeah, 600 acres, and he later on put in a Pelton wheel with an alternator powering an old trace inverter. 2 homes up there, and he lived up there from 1970 through 2009, I think, 8, when he passed away at 94 years old. Lived alone all those years. His wife had passed on in 1970. And so we had a big snowstorm. Another friend of mine was really worried about old Clarence, and he lives way out of town, 30 miles up into the wilderness. And it was very deep snow, and a friend of mine was just really stressed about Clarence. He's snowed in, he's in trouble. And so this friend of mine, Wade Simpson, he's a big cattle rancher out in Sumter now, and Wade snow skied all the way up there, like 30 miles in, finally makes it in to Clarence's place, and Clarence sees him and says, "What are you doing up here, boy?" And, "Well, I'm checking on you." He thought he was going to go up and find Clarence froze to death up there. Well, he gets up there, and Clarence is baking fresh bread, and kind of revived my friend Wade. He stayed for the day and then skied back out of there, and Clarence was fine. He didn't even know there was a problem. He always gets snow. Well, he didn't know there was 4 foot on the valley floor, so he had an extra couple of feet more than normal, but he's not going anywhere till spring anyway, and he was just fine. Didn't even know what the hoopla was about. And that's how it is for some of the folks that live up in the hills. They have massive pantries and supplies, and folks that come to town 2 times a year. Some of the miners in those hills over there are just that way. Interesting folks. Several of them are my friends. All right, I don't know why I thought of that, but I thought I'd share that with you. Actually, I'm on my way in here to make sure that the pack rat didn't pull my brick out. He'd been going in right there, and he's been, so he's been coming in a hole right there. So I piled bricks around, and what he's been doing is stealing insulation out of this building from the basement, and he's been going off somewhere. Oh, Gibbs, come. Hey, listen, there's a trap there. Get out of here, out. And so it looks like we got him, and we're happy about that. So I'll take care of this for them so they don't have to mess with it. And we kind of thought when I blocked him in right here that maybe he was still in here, so they set a trap, and it looks like we got him. It was what he was doing, because they really love animals, and they just didn't want to hurt a little fuzzy critter. But what was happening is they were taking combustibles, strips of cardboard and other things that would burn, pieces of paper, plastic, and they were building a nest. When I came down here, there was a nest built up against the side of the water heater. I said, well, that's got to stop. They're going to burn your house down if you don't do something. So that's better. All right.